Thanks for tuning in to the Thumb Strong podcast. If you could, please like and subscribe to help us reach more people and help them get started in their fitness journey. Thanks and enjoy the episode. We're live for another episode of the Thumb Strong podcast, number 207. Man, getting close to that 4-year mark.
Yeah.
Next week will be 4 years, Barry. Will you be a part of it?
Hope so.
Good. So today we're actually going to continue on last week's topic just because we kind of ran out of time. So we were talking about cortisol and its effect on the body from chronic stress and how that might be one of those driving factors that's keeping us from achieving our goals, especially with fat loss, energy, things like that, right? It's kind of a vicious cycle that we go through when we're in that chronic state of stress, and that cortisol's high all day long. It affects our sleep, kind of everything. So we want to kind of build on that because cortisol does affect a few other hormones in the body that are also going to be very important for our energy and well-being and health and our achieving our goal, whether it's losing fat, building muscle, etc. So let's go ahead and kind of get into the first section, Bethany, if you want to start with what we're going to dive into first.
Yes. Section 1, we are going to focus on cortisol's impact on other hormones. And so all the hormones in your body, they work together like a team. Everything influences each other. So when cortisol is too high for too long, it ends up dragging the rest of the system down with it and affecting other hormones in the system too. So usually they just think about cortisol with stress, but it's actually a ripple effect on a lot of other key hormones that help with regulating your energy, metabolism, fat storage, hunger, mood, reproductive health, all those things. So first one is insulin, which I think we talked about this a little bit last week. So insulin is your blood sugar regulator. When cortisol is high, reaches your blood sugar levels to help to give your body quick energy. And if this ends up happening too often from stress or poor sleep, under eating, overtraining, your body can become more insulin resistant, meaning it stops responding properly to insulin. So when your blood sugar levels are increased, insulin is released. It's think of it as like the uptake or storage hormone, as signals to your body, okay, now we got to shuttle, the insulin shuttles the glucose to either your fat cells, your muscle cells, your brain.
Wherever it's kind of needed.
Wherever it's needed. Yeah, wherever it's needed. And if it's not needed, then it'll shuttle it to the fat cells or the muscle cells for storage or the liver. However, when say you're stressed out by something that's mental, but not physical, right? So you don't actually need that burst of blood sugar in your bloodstream. What happens is you get that blood sugar increase. There's nowhere for it to go because you're not actually burning any of the carbohydrates or blood sugar in your muscles, the glycogen stored in your muscles or your liver. So if there's nowhere for the sugar to go, then it's either going to stay in your bloodstream or it'll go to like fat cells.
And that's when you build your insulin resistance.
Correct.
Which then can lead to type 2 diabetes.
Yep. And I think it's in here, it might have been on the last podcast, or no, it says right on there, like over 40% of adults 18 to 44 are insulin resistant, which can lead to prediabetes and type 2 diabetes, which is insane, which we're going to get into next week, actually, with the insulin resistance.
So, that's part of next week.
Yep. Now, on that, just something that I was thinking about, if your glycogen stores are already full, you're going to be way more likely to store as fat, probably, right? So that's important to know. So our muscles store energy for things that we do. Just move my arm right here. I'm using a little bit of stored glycogen to flex that muscle. So when you're exercising, walking, doing anything physically active, you're using those glycogen stores as fuel for those muscles to work. So if you're eating plenty of food, especially carbohydrates, and you're not doing very much physical activity, it's a very good chance your glycogen stores are always full. Mm-hmm. And so that's why you're more likely just to keep storing body fat when you have that insulin release and that blood sugar is getting stored, right? So that's another reason why just daily movement, moving your body more often, not only will it help with cortisol and stress, but then you're actually at least burning up some of those glycogen stores so that insulin, when it releases the blood sugar, has somewhere to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And I want to make it clear too that it's not like your body is constantly storing and burning body fat. It can happen simultaneously, the same way that it can constantly be building and also breaking down muscle at the same time. What matters is what's the end balance by the end of the day. So, like, yes, if you have a big meal, like, you're going to have an increase in insulin and a spike in that and spike in your blood sugar. That's normal. That's how it's supposed to be. It'll get shuttled to your muscles, your liver, your fat, if there's a little bit extra. But then again, you're not eating constantly throughout the day if you're in a caloric deficit. So by the end of the day, you will have burned more fat cells than you would have stored through that. So I just wanted to have that nuance in there because it's not like, oh, if my cortisol's high, then all I'm doing is storing body fat. It's like, no. If you're still applying the other things, it's just that the elevated cortisol and stress makes it harder to stay in like the calorie deficit, and the hormones and everything's working against you at that point.
And actually, it says right on there, one of the causes of high cortisol is undereating. So when people are doing really restrictive diets, you're actually having a higher cortisol release, which is going to cause it even more body fat storage. And that's why sometimes people are like, "Oh, I'm dieting so hard, but I'm not losing any weight." It's because your body is like starving, and it's in that starvation mode. It's basically keeping everything it can to survive, literally. So, what's the next one?
The next one is melatonin, your sleep hormone. So cortisol and melatonin, they're both on a 24-hour rhythm within your body, but they are peak at opposite times they're supposed to. So cortisol would be peaking at its highest point in the morning, highest levels in your blood for that, and then the melatonin should rise at night, peak at, depending on the person, 9, 10 o'clock typically. But if cortisol ends up staying too high into the evening from caffeine, screens, stress, it ends up blocking melatonin from doing its job. So you don't fall asleep as easily. It's hard to stay asleep. And then you just get into the cycle of poor sleep, higher cortisol the next day, more stress, worse sleep again. And then you add more caffeine to try and combat that. So it's a very vicious cycle.
Yeah. So cortisol wakes you up and gets you going for the day, but then it's obviously at night. It's in an ideal world, it would be shutting off or going down as your melatonin goes up, and then you fall asleep, and then it changes. But with a lot of people, it's just that cortisol is always way too high, and that's why. It leads to that poor sleep, and then everything just kind of gets worse from there.
And you have to make sure that you're setting your circadian rhythm. So like you guys talk about when your cortisol increases in the morning, and then it decreases later at night, and then your melatonin increases at night, that's your circadian rhythm because you're trying to have a good sleep schedule.
And you can tell when your melatonin window is too. It's like, when you stay up late and you start to get tired, but then you get a second wind. It's because you passed your melatonin window of where it's like peaked. And that's where it's like, oh, I actually feel more awake now that I'm, that it's up later. That's weird. And that's because you're past that melatonin window of when your body's like, hey, it's time to go to bed. Like, you're naturally should be more tired.
Yeah, it's awesome when my melatonin production kicks in at 8 p.m. and I'm out with people and I'm ready for bed at 8. Then, but
you just got to push through it.
If I push through it, and then by like 9:30, 10 o'clock, I'm usually okay if I am staying up late. But
All right, number 3, testosterone. This is the strength and drive hormone. So cortisol and testosterone end up competing for resources in the body. When you're chronically stressed, your body prioritizes cortisol and reduces testosterone production in both men and women, because women also have testosterone. This leads to less motivation and energy, slower muscle growth, reduced fat burning potential. And so one reason that you might feel like your workouts are getting harder when you're stressed, even though you're still showing up, this could be why. Any comments on testosterone?
Well, it's important to know that men and women do produce it. Men produce a lot more. Obviously, that's why we're able to usually build more muscle and stuff. But it is important to know for women because you do need testosterone to build lean muscle, but it's also, you got to recognize that you can't just blow up like a man and build this huge lean muscle. Because a lot of people we talk to, it's like, oh, I don't want to get huge like you or something like that. It's like, well, it's genetically, it's not really necessarily possible.
I always talk to them, and I'm like, so do I look like I'm super bulky or anything? And they're like, no. It's like, no. It's like, I'm like, okay, well, I've been lifting for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And this is what yeah. I'm like, so you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I've been lifting for 16 years,
Yeah.
5 or 6 days a week, all bodybuilding, powerlifting, heavy lifting, and eating 4,000 calories a day. And this is as big as I've been able to get. So, which is not bad. Like, I'm happy with it, but like, I mean, there's plenty of people that are way, way bigger than me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yep.
All right,
Next one.
Estrogen and progesterone. This is the female hormone balance. So for women, especially if you're over 35, 40, cortisol can suppress your production of both estrogen and progesterone. But obviously, if you're younger too, it affects it too. And so this hormone imbalance can lead to irregular or painful periods, more intense PMS systems, worsened perimenopause or menopause systems like symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, poor sleep, mood swings, faint frog, all those kinds of things. Estrogen and progesterone do a lot of really good things for your body. Higher estrogen levels actually help with being stronger and having more muscle mass as well. And so with having the suppression of that from the cortisol and the suppression of testosterone in a woman's body, it really works against you as far as muscle building and maintenance.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done studies as far as sleep. If somebody's getting less, like a very restricted amount of sleep, like 5 hours, I think they compared 5 hours to 8 hours of sleep, and the amount of muscle mass that they were able to build or maintain in that time was significantly less than if you're getting like the 8 hours sleep. And the same thing with fat loss. Like, you lost way more fat if you slept a lot, and then there was a much smaller percentage of the weight that was lost was from fat. I don't have the exact numbers, but it just really impacts it a lot. And that, the poor sleep, the stress, that kind of goes hand in hand with that.
I think that's a very important one to understand, because there are a lot of clients, even here, like a lot of members of ours are, 40, 50, 60-year-old women, and a lot of them are in that pre-menopause and menopause stage of life. And so, and I know that people do struggle with like the hot flashes and that kind of stuff. And so understanding that a culprit or something that can make those symptoms a little bit easier is getting that cortisol, more in balance, and focusing on the habits that are going to help that in reducing the stress as much as possible. It'll really help you get through those stages of life when you're going through premenopause and menopause.
Mm.
But
the next one is ghrelin and leptin, your hunger and fullness hormones. So
this is going to be a big one.
This is a big one. Cortisol increases ghrelin, which is a hormone that tells your brain that you're hungry. So it motivates you to eat more. You're not as full after you eat a meal. And at the same time, it reduces your sensitivity to leptin, which is a hormone that signals that you're full, that you're satisfied. And so you can feel like you're always hungry, always snacky. You always want that little sugar. You want a little treat, even when you've eaten enough. So like, if you're still fueling your body adequately, you can still feel like you're hungry. It can lead to overeating, snacking, and late night cravings through that. So like, if you're like, oh, I don't know why I'm hungry, but I ate anyways. And so that could be a reason why that's happening.
Yep.
You're eating when you don't need to.
Yep. Yeah, and a good test like that I do and recommend is like, because I have those urges too. Like, I'll be like, oh man, I really want like a little snack, like a treat, like that bar. I was like, oh man, those sound so good as a little treat. But then I'll think to myself, okay, am I actually hungry? Like, could I eat a chicken breast, like a plain chicken breast right now? Like, there's no way. So I'm not actually hungry. Like, I just really crave a sweet treat. So that could be kind of like that. It's playing a trick on you a little bit of you're feeling those cravings and stuff from that kind of high cortisol, which is basically inhibiting the leptin, right, and increasing your ghrelin, which is making you want to have those cravings and sex. And I'm sure most people experience it at night, which a lot of people have like nighttime cravings, or they'll grab something while they're watching TV and stuff like that.
Yeah. Part of this habitual too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And the stress eating. You know,
Mhm.
people have a bad habit
Oh,
of
yeah.
the stress eating. So
Yeah.
this plays a huge role in it when you have higher cortisol levels.
Yep.
That increases your ghrelin.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's part of this next section here. The second section is why this is happening. I feel like beyond just like the sciencey part of it, that's the hormones. In real life, stress relief becomes a trap, like you said, like stress eating, using the food to numb and or comfort the discomfort feeling from whatever's stressing you out. A glass of wine, like, oh yeah, I had a long day, so I need a glass of wine to unwind. Or I deserve this pint of ice cream. They feel like they're stress relief, but they actually end up raising cortisol more, or like scrolling on social media, and using that as like an escape of like, okay, I'm just gonna like keep scrolling on this. Or sometimes people, they feel like they need to like rebel against their schedule or something like that, and so that's why they end up staying up later, because they're like, oh well, I need like time to just do whatever I want, and so they'll end up staying up later than they know that they should. Like they know they should go to bed at 10, but then they end up staying up till 11 scrolling because they're like,
Because it's like their only time
yeah,
to themselves or something.
right.
Which just make it worse. Yeah, what you really need is a good night's sleep. You don't need a drink or a snack or staying up late watching Netflix or anything. Like, those are the opposite, which are contributing to the high cortisol.
Yeah. What I've seen a lot is when people say, oh, I'm just going to wind down, get ready for bed. When they say wind down, they're just going to play on their phone. When I think of wind down, I think of, okay, I need to get off my phone. I've been on social media all day, or I've been working all day, things like that. I need to go spend either time with my family or time with myself to make me calm down, decrease the cortisol levels, increase my melatonin levels, and then I'm getting ready for bed. So one thing I like to do is I like to spend time outside. We have a hammock in our backyard, so I'll just go lay in the hammock, enjoy the sunset, just kind of chill there without my phone. Maybe I'll take a book or something like that. But then when I've spent, I don't know, like 15, 20 minutes outside, okay, I'm ready for bed, I'm getting tired now, I'll go get into bed.
Yep. What I do is, and this is beneficial for relieving some of that stress before you go to bed, because one of those things that keeps the cortisol high is stressing about things that we got to do the next day. And you guys have heard me talk about this plenty of times, but something I do is I write down everything I need to do for the next day. So in other words, I'm scheduling out what I need to do tomorrow, what are my top tasks that I need to complete, getting that out on paper, getting it out of my head, and then I leave it right where I'm going to pick it up tomorrow, and I can remind myself, and then I read a few pages, and that usually just puts me right out. So that's kind of like my wind down routine. It's very similar to you. It's okay, let's get off the screens and the phones and stuff, and let's at least do something that's, whether it's just talking to Kitty in bed or, playing with Stormy, and then I'll read for a few pages and then go to bed. And I noticed, even like I said last podcast episode, I noticed that even if I just read 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, like if I didn't do that, if I just went straight to bed, I will lay there for a lot longer before I actually fall asleep.
Another thing to add about that, like you said that you like to write things down.
Mm-hmm.
Like say if you don't like to write things down and you're really like a phone person. So I know we all use it like Google Calendar. So once you have everything, like I make sure I have everything I need to do written on my Google Calendar for the next day, double check it, and then I have a widget on my phone. So I don't know if your phone has it, Taylor, but I know on Apple you can get widgets, so it just has it like right in the top of my phone, and it sees and it like gives me what I need to do each day. So tomorrow, it'll give me tomorrow, you have this client, this class, and that's what you have for today. I make sure, again, I have everything double checked, and I'm good.
Yep, 100%. Yeah, good point.
The next part is that burnout can build slowly. So why the stress builds up. You don't wake up one day just like burnout. And, it's the accumulation of poor sleep, the stress eating, overworking, overtraining, and the emotional load that's taking the toll that causes the burnout. Any man on that?
Well, it's definitely real.
Yeah.
I've personally experienced like kind of a burnout when you try to do too much without like the recovery has to meet whatever you're trying to do. So if you are a really busy person, like on the go, you work hard, you got kids, whatever, you need to focus even more attention to like your recovery. So sleep and nutrition, basically. Because like I noticed, here's like one example that comes to my mind was just when we were training really hard for CrossFit. We were training like 2.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, doing strength training, Olympic lifting, gymnastics, and that kind of like conditioning every day for extended period of time. And I, with waking up at like 4 a.m., I even going to bed at 7:30, 8 o'clock, I just wasn't getting enough sleep compared to what my body needed to, and it led to me getting hurt and injured and just kind of not having energy. Like after you train for 2.5 hours, you don't have a whole lot of energy to do anything else. Like you're mentally fatigued, you're physically fatigued. All you want to do is take a nap, which I do take a power nap every day, but it wasn't enough to like get me going. And so understand that it's definitely possible to burn out doing a lot of stuff, and that you have to match it with recovery, which the recovery is the nutrition and the sleep and the water intake, kind of everything that we're going to talk about in the next section.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
The last part is emotional stress also equals physical stress. So your cortisol doesn't know the difference between being chased by a bear or a toxic job. So monitor stress is constant, and we rarely fully recover if you're not really working on trying to recover with that. Which we're talking to. That's the next one. Never mind, that's not the next one.
Oh, how do you know if you have high cortisol levels?
Yeah. How do you know if the cortisol is affecting you? If high cortisol is affecting you? So things that you can ask yourself: are you constantly tired even after sleeping, like 7, 8 hours? If you're constantly tired after still sleeping a sufficient amount, that's a good sign. If you crave sugar or salt late at night, which again, check if it's like a habitual thing or if it's could just be like the cortisol thing as well. Are your moods or cycles more intense? Do you feel stuck even though you're doing everything right? Quote unquote. Is your sleep broken or shallow? And if yes, like just take some time to slow down, reset, address any stress before trying to add more stuff. So trying to add stuff, try to either just take away the stress, because it's like lifting a weight off your shoulders. Like if you had to carry 20 pounds around on your shoulders all day every day, like that's essentially what stress is on your body. It's this stress that's just weighing you down the whole time. And if you can just take that off, then you feel a lot lighter and be able to go about your day a lot easier.
I remember there was a quote when you walk in. Sometimes there's quotes on the board. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one time the quote was like, "Take as much time as you need to reset." And I've been really working on that myself. Is that sometimes in the past I'll add more stuff to try and, if my stress levels are high, maybe I need to do more. I need to complete more things throughout my day, things like that. But the thing I've been learning is that it's actually better for me to reset, take a deep breath, kind of restart, instead of trying to add more things to my plate that I need to get done. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I'd rather want to reset myself, even that if I have to take a break, I'll take a break for a little bit and then I'll get back to it. Right?
Yeah.
And I'd rather do that now than in the past. I lift it again, but I'm kind of stressed out. I'll lift it more times and another time and another time. So now that I've just kind of seen that, I think it's better for me to reset instead of adding more things to my plate.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, focus on the resting, and it's like maybe like do like an audit of, instead of just trying to keep adding and adding and adding, then it's like, all right, what can I take away? What can I cut from this that I don't really need?
Yeah.
To simplify your life.
And that kind of goes into the burnouts too. You see a lot of athletes that they start like disliking training, disliking their sport, but it's because they keep trying to add things to their plate to be better at their sport and be better at training. But in reality, maybe what you should do is just take a week off or so, and in the long run of things, a week off won't really affect you that much, right? You're not losing any muscle in that week. You're taking the week for yourself or a couple of days for yourself, reset, and then you're excited to get back into it when you go back.
Yeah, I think the important thing is to do an audit and identify, okay, what things are the things that are causing all of this stress, and then just coming up with a game plan to actually remove some of it. There's a good acronym, I forget a couple of them, but I know one of them would be like, if there's things that you're doing that are really stressing you out, figure out a way to either delegate it, and like, how can you have help doing that thing, or maybe hand it off to somebody else, or delete it, like what you said. Let's just get this off my shoulders, right? If it's not adding any value to your life, or if it's causing too much stress, etc. So yeah, I think doing an audit and just figuring out, okay, what is the culprit, and then how can we kind of help resolve it.
Yeah.
Okay, next one.
So, what to do if this is you? What you got to do is, well, there's like 7 things you can do.
And we did go over these last one, but we'll definitely recap everything.
Okay, quick recap.
Yep.
Get morning sunlight. Help set that circadian rhythm, start the day, and set your cortisol rhythm as well. So getting that bright light in the morning.
Basically turns on cortisol production.
Yes, it helps. Yes. And getting the sunlight into your eyeballs. So ideally no sunglasses. It's just that beginning little level of sunlight that's coming in. Now, if you're getting up super early, just a bright light. Turn on the overhead lights as soon as you can. That helps to wake you up.
Mm-hmm.
Also, seeing the sunset can help to make you get sleepier, like Barry does, because it's that warm hue of lights. But if you are gonna have lights on inside, like, don't use the overhead lights; those are gonna keep you up. Use warm hued lights, a lot dimmer. Yeah, lamps.
Think of it like the orange light. So
Yes.
if you can get like those kind of light bulbs, especially in your bedroom. So the lamps in your bedroom, you don't want it like the cool white bright lights like these. You'd want it more of like a warm, kind of soft orange light. Would be better for you for your bedroom, especially.
Yes. Step 2: sleep 7 to 8 hours per night, or at least protect your wind down window and routine and make it as good as you can, or at least make your wake up and sleep time very consistent, or as consistent as possible. Number 3: move your body daily. Light movement like walks and stretching help to lower cortisol, because it's not super high intense, like high intensity interval training that could end up stressing your body out a little bit more. And then also incorporating moderate strength training instead of like the super intense workouts if you're already stressed, just because it can just drain you, like we used to do.
Yep.
Number 4: eat balanced meals on a regular schedule. Protein, carbs, healthy fats, fiber. Especially with breakfast, start off with good protein in the morning to support energy and your blood sugar regulation. Skipping meals or under eating or inconsistent eating also can spike cortisol too.
I heard a cool rule on a video the other day, and it's called the 30-30-30. So it was try to have 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up, and then have 30 minutes of like zone 2, just movement. So just go out for a walk, bike ride, something. If you do that like every day, it's just going to be a little bit of a nice start to relieving some of these symptoms of high cortisol, etc.
Was it like 30 for 30 and 30 in a row, or is?
Yeah, ideally it would be 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking, followed by 30 minutes of like zone 2. Okay. But obviously not everybody's going to be able to do a half hour first thing in the morning always. That would be ideal if you could wake up a little bit earlier and do that. But if not, even if you just get 30 minutes of daily movement in, it's going to be better than that. None.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Number 5: reduce your caffeine after lunch. Too much or late day caffeine is equal to higher cortisol and poor sleep. Make sure to manage stress daily. That's number 6. So deep breathing, gratitude journaling, prayer, hobbies, nature time, spending time with loved ones, even just 10 minutes can help to lower cortisol levels. Another tip, simple things like cleaning or building something, cooking even, that's where like your meditation can come in. So instead of just like sitting somewhere and meditating like a monk, I don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just not my thing. But what is meditative is doing something that's doesn't really take a lot of brain power, and then just not having any sort of input to your brain. So not having music, not having a show on, just like sitting there with your own thoughts, which people hate.
There's actually a very interesting study that I saw. It was a video where they monitored the brain activity of, I can't remember the number, but it was a number of different people, and then they had them clean a toilet. And it just lit the brain up because it's kind of like what you're saying. You get in like a flow state. If anybody's ever started to clean their house and they find themselves, oh, I got that done. Okay, now I'll do this. Got that done. Now I'll do this. And then next thing you know, your entire house is clean because you got into that kind of flow, like a meditative type of state. Mm-hmm. Cleaning is like one of the best things that you can actually do. Plus, you clean up clutter. So clutter on the outside actually can affect you mentally. So it's basically like clutter inside. If you have a messy desk, a dirty room, a messy bathroom, a messy house, that's actually going to affect you mentally as well. So if you can clean up your surroundings, it'll actually make you feel better. For me, like I like building stuff, like you mentioned, building stuff, even like doing yard work. I really enjoyed going out and just doing that yard work, even though it's tough. Like I kind of got into a flow. Next thing you know, I was just finishing a ton of stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Makes you feel better too. So.
Yeah. Something to add on to that. I'm sure you guys have heard about the ripple effect. There's a negative and a positive ripple effect. So negative ripple effect would be like stress eating. Like I eat one snack, oh that's really good. I'm gonna have another bite, another bite, another bite. There's also a positive ripple effect like that. So start with something small. Maybe the dishes got to be done. I'll do the dishes, and then I'll clean my kitchen. And I'll go to clean this, and I'll go to clean this, and then so you know your house is clean, or your room is clean.
That's
or
exactly
start with your desk.
why.
Start with something small, and then the ripple gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And bigger.
That's why they recommend making your bed first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you make your bed first thing in the morning. Okay, now that's going to ripple onto more things that you're going to do positively all day long. Yeah.
I got another thing to add. I know Bethany, we kind of took it like the monk thing, but that's my type. I like to just sit there with my thoughts, and every morning I do. I have like red light at my house, so I'll do red light, and I'll sit there for 5 minutes and do breath exercises. So I think that helps me. For me, I know like if that's not your thing, that's not your thing. That's my thing, and I like to do that. I know it's a big increase in waking up when I first do that in the morning. This is my thing. I like to do that. So.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can definitely, like I've never, like Bethany said, I've never like sat there and meditated to an extent, but however, I do recommend, and I have done box breathing quite a bit, mm-hmm. especially if you find yourself in a stressful situation. Like if you feel your stress going up and your anxiety and stuff, if you just want to calm down and relieve that stress almost immediately, just sit there and do box breathing, which is a 4-second inhale, 4-second hold, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold. Do that for like 10 breaths. And you'll literally just lower the heart rate and relieve some of that stress almost immediately. So that is something that I've done quite a lot. Not necessarily to relieve stress, but just throughout the day, just to do it. I actually just did it, I think, this week. I went outside barefoot, stood in the grass, a little grounding, got some fresh air, just closed my eyes, did a box breathing for 10 breaths, went back in. It takes you like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's another one that, you guys know Dr. Huberman, right?
Oh, yeah.
He said he does this one where you take a deep breath in, and at the end of your deep breath, you do another quick pull in, and then you breathe it out. So you go, and then you breathe it out, and you do that around 10 to 12 times.
Yeah.
Like that one too.
Yeah. I listen to his non-sleep deep rest protocol, where it's like you listen to that, and it can either like give you technically more rest and more benefits than like a nap would by listening to that, or I listen to it to fall asleep.
Mhm.
Because you have to like relax your whole body, like you scan your body, and you're like focusing on relaxing each little part, and then like he adds the breaths in there like that. And yeah, I usually don't make it through the whole thing. I don't think I have yet, so I don't really know how the whole thing goes.
Yeah.
But I mean, it makes a difference as far as like giving your mind something to focus on. Because if I don't have something to focus my brain on, then I just like struggle to fall asleep so bad. Because I'll just start thinking about random stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's wrap this up. Let's finish this up and wrap it up.
Oh, okay. I had more I want to
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
We got 10 minutes.
Because I want to talk about hormesis.
Oh yeah.
Yes. The stress that makes you stronger. So
Did we finish all of the?
yeah, there was one more. It was like routines, which we already talked about. Of like sleep and wake schedule and all that. But yeah. So quick overview of hormesis. It is the biological concept, that a low dose of stress can strengthen the system as long as recovery is adequate. And so this came about with like a guy that was exposing himself to poison in very small doses, so that way that he couldn't get poisoned, and it worked. Now this is obviously can be used in having exercise as a classic hormetic stressor, and so it elevates your cortisol briefly, which triggers adaptations like better glucose handling, higher brain-derived nootropic factor, and improved mental resistance. And if you combine that with enough protein and nutrients and sleep, the body will respond by building muscle, increasing your mitochondrial function, improving mood, insulin sensitivity, all of those things. Now, without recovery, that's when the stress cycle happens. But by having enough stress, that little boost of stressor, you can become more resilient to more stress.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also why we don't recommend doing too much all at once right away when you start, the gym or a diet plan or anything like that. It's like give it enough to get the system to adapt, but not too much to like over stress yourself out. Making sure you get adequate protein also dampens cortisol's effects. It helps support the muscle maintenance. So cortisol's effects of muscle breakdown, it blunts that. It also helps blunt blood sugar spikes, so it can help stabilize your cortisol throughout the day by having protein-rich meals. The nutrient-dense high-quality foods, so like fiber, omega-3s, your antioxidants, it helps calm systemic inflammation, which, cortisol can affect your inflammation in the body. And then if you add both of them, then you end up getting that higher baseline stress level of what you're able to tolerate. Especially something like, if you do acute cortisol spikes from cold plunge, sprinting, things like that, and then you're able to recover from it, that will help your mental and physical resilience. And there is a part of the brain called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, which Andrew Huberman talked about a lot. Talked about it with David Goggins too.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a region in the brain that works just like a muscle. And so the more you use it, the more it grows, the stronger it gets. And so it helps to regulate stress, it improves your motivation and your emotional endurance. So it's activated during challenges that require effort, focus, or self-control. It's like, sticking a nutrition plan, pushing through a tough workout, or resisting an urge to have a snack or craving. This matters for fat loss and stress management because the stronger that muscle is, the more likely you're able to stick to your plan. Both emotional and physical discomfort, you're able to push through that more. So if something else is stressing you out in life, you're going to be more resilient to that and more likely to push through it on the other side and become stronger because of it.
So in other words, like do hard things, but recover from it.
Right. Yeah. Still do the hard things.
Do hard things.
Recover from it, and then you can do more hard things
Easier.
Yeah, to add on what you said start with small things, and then once the small things become easier, you can start moving up.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of the book Atomic Habits. Ever read that one? That's a great book.
Yes.
I recommend that book. It's probably one of my top books I've ever read.
Yeah.
Again, it talks about atomic, so small things. Start with small changes to your habits. If you have bad habits, those small changes compound and compound and compound and become bigger and bigger changes. So
And imagine, close your eyes and imagine two ladders. So two people, two ladders, and it probably has this example in the book. But in the first rung of ladder A is literally arm's height.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to jump to get to it, and then the next one's another leap to get to. Whereas the other person, the rung is every foot. So you say go. That person that does one rung at a time is going to get all the way to the top way faster than the person that's literally going to jump and pull themselves up to try to get each rung. That is like the all or nothing mindset. That's like, okay, I'm going to do this workout plan. I'm going to do this diet. I'm going to change all this and this and this. That's like trying to do everything at once, trying to get all the way to this highest rung possible. Whereas if you just did one little thing at a time and slowly added new habits, you're going to get to the top and achieve your goal way faster. So that's a great analogy, is using a little ladder with different little milestones.
Mm-hmm.
Think of them like each little habit or weeks to accomplish your goal or to get to where you want to be, right?
yeah, just being 1% better than what you were yesterday.
And making the first step easy.
Yeah, making the first step really easy.
Okay, to wrap up.
Yep.
Takeaways. Cortisol does not just affect your fat loss; it affects everything in your life, your body. It's not just as simple as pushing through high stress. Like, you also have to reset your system and recalibrate. Like, yes, you got to push through it, but then you got to recover just as much. And small, consistent changes in your routine can make a big difference. And if this sounds like you, you're not alone. Many other people deal with chronically elevated stress levels. I mean, probably
it's,
everybody has at some point.
Over 70% of Americans claim that stress affects their mental health and their physical health.
Yeah.
Over 70%.
Okay, so 3 out of every 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. So, if this episode hit home for you, send it to a friend who needs it or could at least benefit from it a little bit. If you're kind of feeling stuck with like a plan built around real life, not just, make-believe land where everything's perfect and you have, all these hours in the day to do everything. More than just macros and workouts, reach out, we're here to help, and we're happy to get you on the right path.
Yep.
Take that first step.
Exactly. Take the first step. Hardest part is walking through the door for the first time. Heaviest weight you'll lift is the front door, right? So
That's a good one.
It is, yeah. That's what I say. Yeah, please like and subscribe, and like that thing said, share it with somebody. Like it. I say that a lot, but nobody ever does that. I don't know why. We get the views, it's just always liking it. I don't know if they know where the button is. It's a little hand like that.
Maybe they don't like it.
Push the little thumb.
Then give us comments of how to.
Yeah, comment and yeah, exactly. But make sure, you like and subscribe. We're trying to literally start a movement of health and fitness in the thumb of Michigan. That's why we called it Thumb Strong Podcast. We rebranded to it. That's why we rebranded the Thumb Health and Fitness. So yeah, help us with the movement and spread health and fitness knowledge, education, and services around the area. So until next time, stay healthy and take action.